Hello, and welcome this evening to the State of the School 2020. My name is Ethan Anderson, and I am the president of the Upper School Student Body for the 2020-2021 school year. Together with my twin sister Abby, we've been at King since 2012. I'd like to welcome our families and friends, new and alike, to King. This fall certainly isn't the way that I expected my senior year to unfold, and yet I'm still excited for the possibilities before us. Already, in the past few weeks, I've seen teachers creatively leverage new techniques and teaching strategies. A highlight for me has been biology with Mr. DeFelice. Not only have our labs been engaging, but he has us taking advantage of all spaces, indoors and out, to observe movements of crickets, as well as study the cellular composition of the plant life on our beautiful campus. It may not seem as interesting to those of you who don't consider yourself scientists, but let me assure you, it is awesome. From the classroom to athletics and the arts, it's been exciting for me, my teammates, and my peers to be on campus pursuing our passions after such a long hiatus. I'm so proud and inspired by our student body each day as we demonstrate resilience to traverse these unprecedented times and take ownership of our King experience. In closing, I want to talk about our bell ringing tradition at King School. Each year, as a community, the students and teachers ring in the new school year together. It's true, the ceremony can't take place the same way it has in the past, but we can still celebrate the new school year. During these times, nothing is for certain, except for the fact that I know that we'll be doing everything we can to make this the best year possible for everyone. Thank you, and go my King!
Welcome, King community. My name is Minnie Nuna. This is my husband, Eric Gerster. I'm the Parents Association president. Eric is on the board of trustees, and our daughter Lena is a junior this year. We have proudly been part of the King community for 6 years and are so pleased to welcome you this evening to the 2021 annual State of the School.
Minnie and I both feel that in our roles as volunteers, we are given an important voice to help shape and strengthen our school on a daily basis and in the long term. We've seen remarkable changes already taking place and a renewed attention and commitment to work yet to be done.
For our family, our volunteerism has been an incredibly enriching experience. There are so many ways to get involved at King, and we encourage you to find one that works best for you and your family. Visit the Volunteer Opportunities section of the Parents Association page on the King website, or reach out to me, Eric, or any of my fellow PA representatives at any time. Don't be shy about reaching out to learn more.
Thank you so much, Minnie and Eric. That was fantastic. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the State of the School. I'm Tom King. I'm the chair of the Board of Trustees at the King School. And for Lynn and my family and me, this is our 8th year at King. We graduated 2 seniors last year. We're off to college. And Ellie, our youngest, is in grade 10. This is always, I have to say, my favorite time of year, knowing there is so much to look forward to. So thank you all for joining us as part of a new school year, and one that I think is safe to say will be especially unique in the school's 155-year history. The past 6 months have brought a lot of challenges, as you all know, and I'm really proud of the work that has gone into getting us ready for what I'm sure is going to be a different year, but also a wonderful year for the students, the parents, and the entire community. And I appreciate you and everyone coming together to make this work. There are some things that we can be really proud of. There are some things that we're working on. But I think it's wonderful that we're all pulling together to create a great student experience. Tonight, I want to share a little bit about what my fellow trustees and I have been focused on in the past year, over the summer, and within the past month. One of the board's primary responsibilities is to be the guardian of the school's mission and to establish strategic plans with goals that reinforce that mission. The board also acts as a careful steward of the school's resources. Now this year, our responsibilities have focused on the following areas. First, ensuring an excellent student experience throughout the pandemic. Second, a continued commitment to the health and safety for all in the community. An examination of our culture in terms of diversity, equity, and inclusion, and producing a workable budget in spite of dramatic financial challenges and needs. Advancing the school and supporting the vision as generously as possible is also an important piece of what the board does. And of course, monitoring and supporting the progress against the strategic plan. Later, my colleagues Peter Resnick and Kyle Clark will share some of the exciting ideas that are starting to come together in support of our latest strategic plan and the important ways in which you and every family at King can continue to support not just the immediate needs of the school, but the vision for the future. And Dr. Eshu will speak to us about King's culture and the student experience and academic excellence this year and beyond. So before we get to them, I'd like to address the state of the school from a financial standpoint and share some of the inner workings of the budget, which is important every year, but especially in this year. Now let me start by giving you a sense of how the economics of the school work. Our gross revenue, which is close to $30 million, comes primarily from 4 sources. The largest portion is tuition, and like most independent schools, we are highly tuition dependent. Our enrollment continues to be strong, and that's excellent news. The second source of revenue is the King Fund. In recent years, we raised approximately $2 to $2.25 million each year, and critically, that goes into each year's operating budget to support the programmatic needs of the school, as you will hear later from Kyle Clark. The third source of revenue is the endowment. Each year, we draw 3% from the endowment, or about $800,000, and we've worked really hard over the years to build up the endowment, as it's an important source of supplemental revenue each year to operate the school. And the remaining 2% of revenue is primarily from the Summer Institute and from interest income. Now, each year we provide financial access of approximately $4 million to make sure as many students as possible can have access to the King experience. We're consistently in the top quartile of FAA schools in the level of financial access we provide as a percent of our operating budget. In addition, last spring, we launched the Emergency Financial Access Fund. We raised an extra $500,000 for families affected by the economic challenges caused by this pandemic. And I'm so proud of everybody who stepped up in just a matter of a few weeks to provide this money so we could all return this fall. And I think it says a lot about who we are as a community. Other expenses are driven by people costs. Compensation and benefits for faculty is the most significant component, and we continue to invest in faculty, and we are very competitive with teacher compensation and big believers in providing a robust PG&D program. So with that high-level overview, I'd like to make the following observations. First, King remains extremely fortunate and in a strong financial position. Much of that is attributable to the strong admissions, as we've talked about, and the generosity of this community over many, many years. We, meaning the board, the finance committee, and the administration, are very proactive in our financial management. We develop a balanced annual operating budget with an awareness of the long-term financial impact and outlook. Now this year, we've incurred close to $2 million in additional expenses in order to reopen the school and to provide the best possible experience for our students and provide that experience in as safe an environment as possible. We viewed this extra expense as absolutely necessary to ensure an excellent experience and a safe environment. It does mean, however, for the first time in many years, we will not cover our expenses with our traditional revenue sources. We're lucky to have a supportive community and the safety net of a solid endowment to allow us to work through times such as these without compromising the King experience. So in summary, I want to leave you with a couple of thoughts. I don't have to say these are extraordinary times as we work through twin challenges, one posed by the complications of educating our students in a COVID world, and another posed by the heightened urgency we all feel to create more equitable access to opportunity. We're starting from a position of strength. We have a strong community. We have an amazing, dedicated, and talented faculty and a driven staff, and we'll address both challenges head on. You will continue to hear from Karen, from the board, and from myself on these challenges and on the broader strategic plan throughout the year. I, along with all of the trustees and Karen, am always available to discuss your thoughts and concerns as we work together in these exciting but sometimes challenging times. So I want to thank you again for your ongoing support.
Good evening. My name is Peter Resnick. In addition to being the father of 3 King students, Alex and Quinn in 11th grade and Caroline in 8th grade, I'm proud to serve as chair of both the Development and Buildings and Grounds Committees for King's Board of Trustees. This is my wife Andrea's and my 3rd year at King, and we are thrilled to have the opportunity to safely send our children back to school for what is turning out to be a fantastic academic year. I'd like to spend this time sharing some of the exciting plans in the works for King. Last year, the board approved and launched a new 5-year strategic plan. The plan was a joint effort of representatives of every part of the King community, members of the school's faculty, board, parent, alumni, and student body came together to develop a plan which affirms King's commitment to the student experience and places academic excellence as our top priority. In the plan, we illustrate 8 pillars that support the main pillar of academic excellence and confirm our goal in becoming the country's premier research-driven pre-K through 12 independent school. Those are, in alphabetical order, athletics, community partnerships, facilities development, financial sustainability, inclusion, institutional identity, strategic enrollment management, and wellness. As I stand on the newly constructed athletic fields in the heart of campus, I want to walk through how we will realize our strategic plan through the pillars of facilities development and the philanthropic component of financial sustainability at King. I know Karen will be covering a few of the other items later. As I look out on this exciting new complex, I cannot help but think that King's success is driven in part by the establishment and growth of a culture of philanthropy within our community. For more than 150 years, our community has built and supported a school to benefit future generations. This particular project's success is due to a group of wonderful and generous families without whom our student athletes would not reap the benefits of this brand new multi-purpose athletic facility. It is a $4.5 million investment in King School. We are nearly done raising all of the funds for it and are going to have a few more conversations with people this fall to get us across the finish line. The passion to redesign and upgrade the fields clearly illustrates that the King community remains committed to investing in our students' future and making King the best choice and the right choice for families to send their children. In addition, and more excitingly, this project is merely the first phase of an ambitious plan to enhance and expand the campus as we know it. But more on that later. In the past 2 years alone, King has raised nearly $11 million in charitable gifts. We are a generous community and have always been a generous community. We have a long history of always working together to make sure that our school is strong for current and future generations. In recent years, this culture of generosity has supported capital projects like the fields I'm standing on. Additionally, King has been the fortunate benefactor of gifts that have supported financial access, endowment, unique research-focused and academic programs, mentorship programs for our artists and performing artists, and programs and tools in support of student work and faculty development. This generosity comes from many places. Our support is indeed broad, as we receive it from current and former families, current and former trustees, faculty and former faculty, our broad alumni network and their parents, and friends and neighbors of the school. As we look toward the future, we are not looking to rest on our laurels and just be satisfied with our past successes. Oh no. This is the perfect time to think ahead and be bullish about King's future. To this end, King's School is poised to build on and support the goals outlined in our strategic plan through exciting and ambitious plans that will ensure our rise to national prominence as a research-based institution. While these plans are still in their infancy, I'd like to provide some examples that will give you a sense of what the future may hold for King. As unsettling as these past 6 months have been, we have to think about the future. So I want to share a few of the ideas that we have been considering. Now, these are definitely very preliminary renderings, and we are sure that they will change many times before they're final. All of this is subject to change, but we're too excited about some of these possibilities not to show you some of this hard work and great thinking. As I mentioned earlier, academic excellence is at the core of our strategic plan. As we reimagine King over the next several years, we seek ways to increase the number and size of classrooms and labs to give students and faculty more space for project-based learning opportunities. This can be done by right-sizing classrooms and labs, designing project-based spaces that facilitate collaboration between peers and foster individualized learning. We also want to continue the work we have started with the Middle Fields project by updating our athletic facilities. This will address the needs of our student athletes, coaches, trainers, and visiting teams. King's athletic program, led by Micah Halbin, continues to be at the forefront of the healthy intersection of athletics and wellness. In addition to academics and athletic facility upgrades, we are exploring the feasibility of some fantastic new spaces, which include campus commons, re-engineered classrooms and labs, project-based learning spaces, outdoor classrooms and learning spaces, and improved indoor and outdoor spaces throughout each division. The projects I have described are not only focused on capital improvements, but also aligned with our programmatic and cultural goals that stem directly from the strategic plan. In order to achieve these lofty goals and continue to advance King's School, we're eager to grow our philanthropic base. This will entail a deep study and discussion with representatives from every stakeholder group in our community, as your feedback is crucial to moving the school's plans forward. While ambitious in scope and scale, we are motivated and truly excited by our community's belief in King, and we hope you are too. The future at King is now. And with that, I'd like to pass it off to my good friend and fellow trustee, Kyle Clark, who along with Carmen Fela is the co-chair of the King Fund. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. My name is Kyle Clark. I am a parent of 2 boys at King and a member of the Board of Trustees. On behalf of King Fund co-chair Carmen Fela, I would like to share some information and updates on the King Fund. King is like every other independent school in that tuition alone does not cover the cost of a King education. We realize this is an unusual way of doing business, but other schools and nonprofits have been operating this way for a very long time, and quite frankly, it works. Each year, we strive to raise more than $2 million for the King Fund, which accounts for 7% of our annual operating budget. 100% of contributions to the King Fund are deployed in the current fiscal year, meaning that each and every year, your partnership strengthens the quality of our students' experience. We recently closed the books on the 2019-20 fund and have launched our appeal for 2020-21. So how did we do last year? Looking back, I'm filled with gratitude for the generosity of our community, as it goes without saying that last year was a challenge. COVID-19 hit during our last fundraising quarter, and we postponed the King Gala to this spring. And of course, many in the King community dealt with significant personal challenges. So it is nothing short of remarkable that we raised over $1.97 million and nearly reached our goal, with 81% of parents and over 300 alumni and many friends coming together to provide this lifeblood of the school. Just as remarkable, every year we achieve 100% Staffalty participation, and last year was no different. Staffalty, thank you. Everyone comes together in this way because the King Fund does so much for our school. And in a competitive environment, the health of the King Fund is one of the things that sets King apart. This year, with your help, we hope to surpass $2 million and reach 100% participation from our parents. So many of you answered the call to strengthen King when the school needed it most. So thank you on behalf of the entire King community. So where exactly will your contribution go this year? Well, it provides financial access, allowing us to offer admission to the most qualified applicants. It bolsters professional growth and development opportunities for our teachers. And this year especially, the King Fund helps us provide the strongest school experience possible for every student at King. That includes implementing new cleaning and air purification procedures, renting space from neighboring facilities so that we may safely distance our students, and expanding our technology to serve each student's online learning. And vitally, your support has not only allowed King to retain all of our Staffalty, but to expand our team to be able to adapt to the dynamic needs of the 2021 school year. In the best of times, what makes a school exceptional is its community. And in challenging times, the strength of that community is what makes all the difference. This is not a normal year. And this is not a normal year for the King Fund. Now is precisely the time to lean in. The truth is, we are all counting on your generosity, and we are all especially grateful for it. This is the year that can make all
Kyle,
the difference.
thank you so much.
Thank you.
And thank you to everybody who's spoken tonight. I want to give a special shout out to Ethan. Ethan, I am so happy that you are leading the upper school student body this year. Thanks for ringing in the school year one more time for us. Now tonight, I am so excited, as I always am, to talk with you about our strategic plan. Now, the center and the foundation of that plan, as you know, is academic excellence. And the reason why that is the center is because that is really what compels us to continue to double down on our commitment to the student experience. as we made the decisions this summer for reopening our school, in fact, all of those decisions were made with the student experience in mind, because that is our top priority. Now, reopening, of course, has been challenging, but it's also been exciting because it's been a lot of exercises in and thinking. So, for example, yes, we have to preserve the health and safety of our students and our faculty. And we know that while we do that, we can provide opportunities for deep learning for all of our students as well. We spend a lot of time these days washing our hands and also helping our students to achieve mastery of the material that they're studying. We are wearing masks, obviously. We are analyzing and synthesizing information as much as possible while we're doing that so that our students can learn to take action. Now, all of this really is about engagement. And the reason why we prioritize engagement is because we know that students develop a greater sense of purpose in their learning when they learn that way. We know that they therefore will perform better than their peers. And as they learn to understand themselves, both as students and as humans, that makes them the best versions of themselves. So I want to talk to you a little bit about what this actually looks like on our campus, because of course, we all know this is an unusual year. But we have the best faculty. And the reason why they're the best is because they know how to take advantage of all of the opportunities that do present themselves right now and actively seek to create excellence. Now, you know from our strategic plan that we strive to be the nation's premier pre-K through 12 research-driven institution where our students can embrace open minds and courageous thinking. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about how that's actually taking place in our curriculum right now. And I'm going to start with science and one of our lower school science teachers, Joey Leonard, and what he's doing in the lower school with our students. First of all, he's actually working right now with our pre-K and our K students and their teachers. And what they're working on in their little world, and their world is their classroom and the place outside of their classroom, but also their outdoor classroom that Joey has created. And what they're working on with pre-K first is getting them outside to start noticing what's happening around them. The more that they notice, the more that they can start asking questions about that. Now, for the kindergarten students, they begin to study actual units, and they're studying a unit on weather right now. And one of the things that they're doing is they're learning a little bit about rain and how to track rain. By the time those students grow into second graders, they're not just going to be tracking the weather, they're actually going to be using software to upload that data so that scientists, climate scientists, can actually make use of it. And what that means is that as they've learned how to notice what's happening and how to gather data, they're learning how scientists actually use that data and analyze it and synthesize it, which is really exciting. Now, as we get into the middle school, our middle school teachers, just like all of our teachers across the division, spent a ton of time this summer on professional growth and development, and specifically thinking a little bit more about how we assess for mastery of material. Now, Lindsay Silbereisen is somebody in the science department in the middle school who's been thinking a lot about how to assess for this. Because what we know is that doing science and just knowing a lot of facts is one thing, but learning how to speak science is something else. But what we know is that when a student can actually explain not just what something is, but why it is, that actually is an indication of mastery. So what Lindsay is starting to do is she's starting to make use of lots of different kinds of software, so things like Jamboard and Loom, so that students have lots of different ways to demonstrate their understanding and have to speak science. Now, what's important about this is that because they've already learned in their younger years how to gather the data and how to analyze the data, now as they learn how to explain that data and the importance of it and the meaning of it, they're getting prepared for science fairs and some of the most rigorous science competitions out there that they'll be able to do when they're in the upper school. Now, for our upper school students, we have a group of students who are really, really savvy with computer science in particular, and they actually are ready for more. So our new Director of Technology, Integration, and Innovation, Craig Tunks, he is an adjunct professor at Manhattanville. And he has actually connected students with a computer scientist there who is now taking those students through a college-level course in computer science. The reason why is because they've already demonstrated the ability to code and do all of the basics. But now they're ready to work with him to actually do computer science and make meaning through computer science in ways that you usually only get when you get to college. But they're so well prepared and they have this great connection that they're able to leverage all those skills and their curiosity now. So as we think about the way that research works in the STEM areas, as I've just described, what's fabulous about this, honestly, is that in future years, we're going to get to talk about how this also supports the humanities. We can talk about how it supports the arts. This research emphasis that allows students to, again, leverage their own curiosity, learn how to notice, learn how to make meaning out of information, and learn how to speak the language of the disciplines that they study is really what is going to set us apart. It already does, and it's going to continue to do so. And the fact that we're able to do this so beautifully right now in the midst of a lot of other challenges is a testament to the expertise, the intelligence, and the commitment of my colleagues. Now I'd like to talk with you about inclusion, which is another pillar in our strategic plan. Now, this was obviously a very difficult summer for the United States and for our school as we faced the realities of racial injustice that have been with us for centuries. We heard a lot from so many people in our community that we have fallen short in our goal to be an inclusive school community. And I'm sorry. I know, and we all know, that we need to do better and that we need to get better. Now, I also think that it's important for everybody to know that so much good work over many years has been done here around diversity, equity, and inclusion. The fact that we included this pillar of inclusion in the strategic plan over a year and a half ago is also a testament to our commitment to taking this seriously and doing the work that it's going to take to become the best possible and most inclusive school that we can be. And so what I'd like to talk with you about right now is why it's so important for us to prioritize diversity, equity, and inclusion, because it's essential to our ability to providing an excellent academic experience for our students. So we'll start with this. The business case for diversity has already been made, and I think that that's something that we all know either from our experience or from knowing about research around this. But what we know is that businesses that have diverse workforces and diverse boards and diverse leadership tend to be more innovative and they tend to be more profitable as well. The reason seems to be that when lots of different kinds of people sit around the same table to make decisions together, when they come together and bring different experiences in the world, different beliefs, all of that seems to push them towards better decisions, and that's why those businesses tend to be more successful. Now, in the pre-K through 12 arena, we're just starting to understand just how much diversity actually impacts the academic experience of our students. That's our business model. And so what we know is that we start from a place of diversity. Now, diversity itself really is about representation. So whether we're talking about racial and ethnic representation, socioeconomic class representation, religion, political belief, you name it, all of that representation matters. The reason why is because when our students sit in classrooms with students who are different from them, when our students hear from students who walk through the world differently, who have different systems of belief, all of that actually serves to challenge our students even more. It pushes them to think differently. It pushes them to continue to have open minds and to think courageously, precisely because they're exposed to so many different ways of thinking and so many different ways to solve problems as a result. So, in order for us to remain and become even more diverse, it's important that we are strategic in going out there and finding our people. So whether those are prospective families, whether those are prospective colleagues, we need to make sure that our diversity here is visible and palpable and audible, because ultimately that is what propels us forward and allows our students to have the best academic experiences that they can possibly have with us. Now, equity is the second piece of this, and I want to make sure that I'm clear about what the difference is between equity, as I'm going to describe it, and equality. Because equality is, I think, what we all know that it is. That is treating everybody the same. And there are places for equality for sure. But interestingly, equity is more about treating people fairly, and that doesn't necessarily mean the same. The reason why we talk about equity here at King is because that's how we've always operated. We seek to know every student as an individual. The better that we know the student, the better questions we ask of the student to really understand how they're experiencing the academic program and the culture here, that allows us to best serve each student. And so when we build a diverse community of learners, it's important that we get to know all of those learners well so that they can be treated fairly and equitably, because that's actually, we believe, the best way to do it. That way students are actually better able to have really excellent experiences. And when we build that diversity, when we treat our students and families and colleagues equitably, that's when we build the most inclusive community possible. True inclusion means, in the words of a researcher named Dr. Stephen Jones, that everybody in our community should really feel like homeowners, never like welcome guests. And so what I want to make sure that we continue to keep in front of us is that we have to do the work as a school to know one another and to truly prioritize everybody's experience, so that we can actually be inclusive enough that everybody truly has access to all that we have to offer here at King. Again, that is essential for having a great learning experience, but it's also great for having a great cultural experience. And what we've known for such a long time here at King is that the culture supports all the other academic experiences that our students have. One of the things that I've known for a very long time now is that cultures get made. And here at King, we know that every day the choices that we make about how we interact with each other, about our willingness to lean into some difficult conversations, but also to lock arms and really prioritize the health and the wellness and the safety and the dynamism of our community, that is what ultimately makes us successful as a school. And so as we continue down this road together, we'll continue to talk about what it means to be diverse, continue to talk about what it means to be equitable, and especially what it truly means to be inclusive of everyone, without assuming that we know what people need and taking the time and the action that it's going to require for us to know that by asking and then by taking action as a result. So with that, I'm just so glad that you all joined us tonight. I hope that you enjoyed this. I can't wait to see you either on Zoom, hopefully in person coming up. Thank you so much for all of your partnership. Thank you for being part of the King community. The work that we're doing here is, I think, the most important work that all of us can be doing. And I know that the more that we come together and continue to build our school, our students are going to be able to get out there and make the world a better place. Thank you so much.